What's going on again, YouTube? And I'm coming in with this next video about time and how people feel that their time may be running out, it's speeding up, like it's not enough time in the day. Now, for me, I personally think time goes at the same speed that it's always gone at. It's going at the same, however many minutes, hours. It's not speeding up, definitely not slowing down. But I think the whole perception of it comes from when you're doing something that you want versus when you're doing something to pay a bill. See, right now I'm doing something that I want. And so time, the clock doesn't matter. I enjoy doing this, spreading information, putting it on YouTube, putting it out to the rest of the world on the internet. Versus people who are doing something right now to pay a bill, they may be constantly looking at the clock. An hour only passed. They tell you not to look at the clock. And then you look, and man, it's only been 30 minutes. Why is things going so slow? They're actually not going slow. They're going as fast as it always has. Not even fast, normal, regular speed. But when you out of town, you're in Miami, you're in Jamaica, or you just at home, it's 7 p.m. Next thing you know, it's 10 p.m. And you're like, man, you been doing what you want to do, even if that involves, you working for yourself and paying your bills that way. But when it comes to things that you are trying to do just to pay a bill, which would just mean your job and that's not your passion, yeah, time seems to go slower. It gets frustrating. You're sitting around like, when is this over? And unfortunately, a lot of people haven't been able to get paid doing what they actually like to do, what they love to do. They're getting paid by what they applied for on the internet, or what they went to school for. And so therein lies, the problem. And so you feel like time is just it's going by slow, but then also when you have a lot to do, you sometimes I've even heard people say there's not enough time in the day. 24 hours is not enough time. 7 days a week, 24 hours. Then it just all goes to what you have going on and how time feels to you. When you're doing something that you want to do, you go on vacation for a week, or even if you're just doing a stay at home vacation, they call it a staycation. And you got Sunday through Saturday off, well, Sunday through the next Sunday, and you're back to the office on that Monday. Look how fast that week goes by because you're doing what you want to do versus you looking up and like it's not Friday yet. When is Friday coming? Because you're doing something just so you can pay a bill. And so that's why people can't wait for retirement, or they're trying to retire earlier. That way they can do actually what they want to do. Even if it means still making money, but now they're doing it on their own terms and not for another company. So the whole perception of it is completely different. When you're doing stuff that you want to do, that time is going at the same speed, but it just feels like it's going faster because you're not even paying attention to time. When you're doing what you want to do, it's almost like time doesn't even exist. It just doesn't. I've heard some people who work for themselves talk about how sometimes they don't even know which they forget which day it is because they're not going to work for someone else where okay, I have to be here these days, these hours. They're working from themselves, and so and specifically this person was had an online business, so they still work from home. She works for herself, and sometimes she would forget what actual day it was because she's not on this hamster wheel or in what they call it the rat race with working a job for someone else. She's working for herself. And so then you get the term time flies. I mean, yeah, it's going. It's definitely going. But everything it's not going any faster though. People feel like it's going faster. But You know, I can take, understand why they're saying that. And there's certain perceptions on why that is. I'm going to share a video about why they may think that their time is actually speeding up. And it ties into us as we get older. That's the whole thing. I want you guys to check this out. Fair use, YouTube.
Close your eyes. Remember yourself as a child, playing with your friends, stressing out about the spelling test at school, coming home to snack on the table, and asking for help with your homework. What do you feel? Maybe you're suspended in a time when things felt new, fun, and exciting. Now think of similar activities as an adult. Getting ready for bed, reading a book, having dinner with friends. These moments don't seem as interesting or exciting as they did when you were a child. When we think back on our childhood, it feels like it lasted a lifetime. But now it's like we're passengers in our own life, with time merely passing us by. Time flies, and unfortunately for us humans, evolution never gave us wings. This feeling where time seems to go faster when we're experiencing it, but feels much longer when we remember it, is called the holiday paradox. Coined by psychology writer Claudia Hammond, the holiday paradox refers to the idea that when we go on vacation, a week or even 2 weeks seem to go by so quickly we can barely believe that we had a vacation at all. Yet, when the vacation is over and we look back on it, it feels like it was much longer than just 1 week. Scientists believe that one of the reasons for this is that when we're on vacation, we have lots of new experiences in a short period. You go scuba diving for the first time, you see art, you eat interesting food. These events are outside your daily routine. Then you return to your ordinary life, marked by routine, work days.
So they mentioned routine. Could it be routine and breaking that can alter our perception of time? We're doing the same things over and over again. And like I said, this hamster wheel, when you're getting up, going to the job, whether you firefighter, police officer, teacher, accountant, lawyer, it's routine. Brush your teeth, exercise, shower. And so it just seems like you're stuck in that block. Versus when you break that and you actually, you know, swing things a different way, does time feel like, okay, now it's, moving differently? Again, I'm saying it's still all going at the same speed. It's not any faster. But let's get back into that. Routine is something that's interesting.
And weekends, the stimulation of that vacation seems long gone, and when you look back on it, it feels like so much happened. It feels like so much time went by, and even though when you were there, it felt incredibly short. Our experience
World, the time has come to push the button. World.
Our experience of time changes depending on what we're doing and how we feel about those experiences. That's why you hear things like time flies when you're having fun. I'm sure you've experienced it before too. Your favorite musician's concert is over in the blink of an eye. And at the end of a great first date, you realize you've been talking for hours, yet the conversation still feels incredibly short. This happens because when we're immersed in an activity, we're not checking our watch to see the minutes ticking by. So we lose track of time, making it seem like time is going much faster than normal. Immersion is the key word here, because time doesn't only go faster when we're doing something exciting or something we love to do. How many times have you told yourself you'd only spend 10 minutes on TikTok to look up from your phone 3 hours later and see that the sun has gone down? Exactly, it's because of how immersive the app experience is, and it keeps you busy and makes you forget about time. These differences in perception make the holiday paradox both relatable and confusing. To help us understand the phenomenon better, we need to look at how people think about their childhood. In a 2005 survey, 499 participants between the ages of 14 to 94 were asked about the pace at which they felt their lives were moving. When asked about shorter durations like weeks and months all the way up to a year, the participants' perception of time didn't appear to increase with age. However, when asked about longer durations, the older people were faster they felt like their lives were moving. People over 40 in particular felt like time went by slowly in childhood, then accelerated through their teenage years and into early adulthood. And then, after that, time just flew by. But why? Why do we feel time goes faster the older we get? Our brain has a limited storage capacity, and so to keep things running smoothly, our brain encodes new experiences into memory. It tends to skip over the more repetitive events in our lives. The more memories we have, the more things we can look back on when we're thinking retrospectively. And the more things we can remember about a period of time, the longer we feel that time period was. Think about your time in college or in high school. You remember most of that period of your life because you were absorbing so much information that your brain was forced to slow down to take it all in. Creating new memories, learning new concepts, your brain had to store a lot of new information, and so when you think back, there's a lot of things to remember, which makes that period last longer in your memory. This is why scientists always encourage you to learn new skills no matter how old you are. Because by learning new things, you're giving your brain a reason to absorb and store new information, which in turn makes that moment last so much longer. If you're interested in learning new skills like programming, math, or computer science, then I recommend you check out the sponsor of today's video, Brilliant.org, the best place to learn STEM subjects interactively. If you've been a fan of this channel for any length of time, then you definitely know how much I love Brilliant. The reason I've been using them for so long is because, unlike most courses out there, Brilliant makes learning fun. Each course is designed to be interactive with hands-on problem-solving sections that allow you to see how the subject you're learning works in the real world. The courses are created by a team of award-winning teachers, researchers, and professionals, so you know you're getting the most accurate. You can learn wherever you are and no matter how short. To try this course and any other, new experiences don't always have to be good or fun to make time slow down. If you've ever felt fear, chances are your life seemed to move in slow motion. If you're in a car crash, a bike accident, or even feel physically endangered by another person, your cognitive reality shifts. What might only be a few seconds of fear feels like minutes or even hours. In her book, Claudia Hammond talked about a study in which people with arachnophobia were asked to look at spiders for 45 seconds. When they were asked afterward, every participant thought they were looking for a much, much longer period of time. They may not have been in imminent danger, but their fear was triggered. Their world slowed down, desperate to get out of the situation they found themselves in. Over the years, there have been many theories about why time seems to speed up as we age. You can see that our world, in general, has sped up. This has caused all of us to feel like life is moving more quickly, but if you talk to a 5-year-old, chances are they don't feel the same life passing by them effect. There's also the proportionality theory, which says a year feels faster at 40 than at 10 because 1 year constitutes much less of your life. When you're 10, 1 year is 10% of your life, but when you're 40, it's just 2.5%. This, though, only works when you're thinking about life in entirety and not in the specific periods when time slows down or speeds up, like when you're dancing on your wedding night or doing a plank. The holiday paradox tells us that our perception of time is everything, and that perception is deeply affected by our age and memory. If you graduated college 4 years ago, you likely remember walking across that stage like yesterday. But if you think about your first day of high school, it might seem like decades have passed, even though it's only been 12 years. Time impacts our memory, but memory also creates and shapes our experience of time. We're most likely to remember the timing of an event if it's distinctive and vivid. Some people might coast through their 50s not creating many new memories, then that decade might seem lost to time. But if you ask someone who went through a divorce or lost a loved one in their 50s, those years might feel incredibly light.
Interesting point there. He talks about new memories not being created. And so if you go through a period in time where you just didn't do anything, and only thing you have to relate back to is, you're 50, and then you go through 60 and you did nothing, then he kind of says you get the perception that time may have stood still. I have nothing to really compare and contrast to. And so for that person, it may seem like time has actually gone slower. But then again, like I'm saying, no, everything's still going at the same speed. It's just getting older. Some people, look at themselves. If they parents, they look at how much older their children have become, and then they just say, "Man, I remember when." And sometimes you just start counting the years. But again, everything is still going, in my opinion, at the same speed. But that's something interesting to think about if you're a person that hasn't created any new memories in the last 5 years. How does time feel to you? Do you feel that it's actually slower or not? Let's get back into it.
The slowest decade of their lives. Hammond writes that time perception matters because it's the experience of time that roots us in our mental reality. The mental reality of an adult stuck in their routine, unable to take vacations or learn new skills, is much duller than that of a child experiencing the world for the first time. An adult's bank of new memories is simply running low. We learn new skills from childhood to early adulthood and find ourselves in a lot of novel situations. And because of this, our early years tend to be overrepresented in memory, making them feel like they lasted longer than our later years. The 50-year-old divorcee finds herself in a period where time seems to slow down because she's making new memories, having new experiences, and feeling new emotions. In some ways, these midlife shifts that many of us have, for better or for worse, actually tap into the kind of mental experience we went through as kids. When you're a child, every sports game, good grade, or fight with a friend feels like the most important thing in the world. But as we get older, that feeling is much less frequent.
Attention serious investors and business owners. We will build, manage, and scale your Amazon business for you while you...
We find ourselves waiting for significant life moments like a marriage or promotion to get the same rush we got as a kid, to feel that same experience of novelty and memory making. And the rest of the time, we're just going through the motions, letting time pass without giving it too much thought, until we wake up one day and can't figure out where it went. As it turns out, children might actually perceive time more slowly than adults. There's evidence that from a kid's perspective, time as they're experiencing it is slower. That's because memory, attention, and executive function, the cognitive control of our behavior, are all under development when we're children. Kids' neurotransmissions are physically slower than those of adults, affecting how they perceive the passage of time. By the time we grow up, our circuits are wired. To figure this out, researchers conducted a study where participants listened to a series of tones and compared their duration. The youngest participants, about 5 years old, had the least accuracy in perceiving how long a tone lasted. They often heard short tones lasting much longer than they really did. This could explain why, when we're young, things feel like they take so much time, even the most basic things like eating breakfast or getting dressed. When we're adults, those same tasks feel like they go by in a flash. Often we don't even remember we did them. Somehow you got dressed this morning, but do you actually remember it happening? Picking out your pants and putting on your shoes every day might be so routine, it's not creating any new memories for you. The moments that we live in, but in which we don't form any new memories, are those bits of time that escape us. While time might move slowly at 5 years old, our experiences between the ages of 15 and 25 stick with us the most. This is the era of nostalgia for most of us. We remember scenes from our lives, the books we read, and the movies we saw during that time. Can you think of your favorite movie quotes or funny moments? Because chances are they're from a film that came out when you were in your late teens or early 20s. This is when we have more new experiences than most other times in our lives. We have our first job, solo traveling experience, relationships. It's often our first time living away from home and the first time we feel we have a choice in how we spend our days. While it's happening, this period feels like it's on overdrive, but looking back at it, it feels like that part of our lives lasted forever. That's because we created so many memories, met so many new people, and saw the world in many new ways. We feel nostalgic for that time because it felt so complete. That is the holiday paradox. If you're living in that time, enjoy it.
Anyone with $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans may qualify for help from National Debt Relief. Minimum payments could literally...
Enjoy it. Savor it. If you made it to your late 20s, you probably know the phenomenon of having a sudden longing for your younger self, your younger life. You've settled into a routine where stressful responsibilities often replace endless fun moments. So how do we slow down our lives again? The truth is, of course, that we can't slow time down, but we can do more things to create memories of the time that we have. Look for novel experiences that engage your brain. You don't need a vacation to feel excited or refreshed about your life in the world. New things are waiting around the corner if you just open your eyes and look for them. Constantly challenge yourself to learn new skills, like maybe learning a new cuisine or building a bench for your backyard. Maybe you just want to get better at meeting people. Go to a neighborhood event or sit alone in a bar and talk to a stranger. Whether big or small, let something exciting take over your brain and let you feel like a kid again. Another hack is to try to remember your day as vividly as possible. Routine can feel good, but it also doesn't allow for new memories to get imprinted on our brains. Spending time reflecting on your day makes you more likely to ingrain the memories, even the bad ones. Naturally, our memory is short-lived. It's easy to go to bed.
How often do you all actually reflect on your day when you're done with it, Sunday through Saturday, kind of just reviewing it and seeing what was done? Was there anything new? More than likely, like I said, with this whole routine thing, you just got up, washed up, went to the job, and then came back home, and you have dinner. If you're a parent, you're getting the children dinner as well, getting them ready for school the next day. School and the whole job thing, they're all similar routines. And then from school, you transition into the job because the school kind of actually gets you ready for that same job routine, still getting up at the same time. You get some time for lunch, you have work to do, and then you come home and then repeat. So, it's easy to get caught up in all of that. I think it's good to reflect on your day just to see, okay, where can I make any type of changes if need be, if you have the time. Some people don't have time to reflect on their day, especially parents, and they have children. So I understand that part. All right, let's get back into it.
Every night and not think about what happened to us during the day. But what if you stopped and spent a few minutes to relive it? Would mundane things become important or exciting? Would you remember someone or something you saw on the street that was new or strange? Suddenly your day might feel a bit slower. Whether you just think about it or want to write it down, try to make the moments of your life last and take up real estate in your head. That's what we're doing when we're on vacation. We're making all sorts of new, interesting memories we might look back on when we want to reminisce about how full our days felt. Our own minds actively create the way we experience time. While we may not always have control over our time, as the demands of life mount in front of us, we can control how we remember things and, therefore, control our perception of the time we have. Time, as we're told, is immovable. It's totally defined. A second is a second, a year is a year. And as much as we might want to change it, we're told that's the reality. But if you do think back to your childhood, a time hopefully filled with joy and novelty, a year feels so much longer. If you've been in danger, the minutes you weren't sure you'd be safe surely couldn't have been just minutes. So yes, maybe time is immovable, but it's comforting to know that we do have some control over how we experience it. We can warp it to make it shorter, or stretch it to make it feel longer. And while we might never learn how to travel in time, at least we know we have some small control over it. Hey, if you like the videos we make and would want to support us to make...
Oh, okay. So I think you all get the gist of it from there, and what they're talking about in terms of, time. Like you said, it's immovable, and we don't really have any control over it in the grand scheme of things. There's certain things we can do to make it feel like it is worthwhile. Because again, like I said, you know, and to each their own. Different people feel that time is going, faster than it normally didn't. You know, I hear people saying, "Where did the year go?" It's almost October 2024 now, and then it just seems like, I know we always say this, it's cliche, just like yesterday. If you remember something that happened from January, like my first memory from January is, Cat Williams going on Club Shay Shay, and then, giving all that information out. And so, now that was 8 months ago. And there's been so many other interviews on there since then. But at the same time, even though it seemed like it went by so fast, everything's still going by at the same rate. I mean, I'm sure if Cat Williams and Shannon Sharp enjoy, doing that interview, and then Shannon Sharp just enjoys, and he seems like he does doing his interviews on Club Shay Shay, that time probably seems like it goes by pretty quick as well because he's doing something that he wants to do. I know some of those videos, those interviews are 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And that's a lot of time to actually be able to sit down with someone one on one and discuss. But with Shannon Sharp doing what he wants to do, or something that he wants to do, like I like recording these videos and putting them on YouTube for an audience, that time those 2 hours, 2.5 hours can go by quick because Shannon Sharp is enjoying interviewing the person. He enjoys listening to their answers. He's giving out questions, and so that's with anything for anyone doing what you actually want to do. You'll see that time it almost like it's not there. You'll feel like it's going faster because when you actually go and check the time, you're like, oh man. And so, yeah, versus when you're doing stuff you don't want to do, like I said, specifically things because you got to keep the bills paid, then things seem to go by slower because that's all routine, like they were saying in the video. All routine. It's not creating nothing new. It's just redundant. And so, and you know the block of time that it is, and you just waiting for it to finally run out so you can go and do what you want to do, whatever time you get done at the office. And you leave there, and before that, you're doing things that you actually want to do. But in between that time, it's like you're stuck. And so, I hope people. I don't know how realistic it is, but I hope people can one day actually make money doing things that they want to do, until where then now time you don't even look at it. Whether it's sharing information with the world through videos and you can monetize that, whatever it may be. Maybe you're into landscaping, you enjoy that, something that is with the outdoors, whatever your passion is, and you discover your passion. I've heard through the work that you do, just as I'll say, as we go through time, and whatever you're working at now, wherever you work at now, that might not be, your passion, and you know that, but you discover it just through work, not necessarily going to a job, but just life itself. As you talk to people, talk to strangers, you'll go into what your passion actually is. Because I always hear people saying, I don't know through time, what I'm supposed to be doing here. What is my purpose? And you find your purpose through the work, I've heard people say. You know, look at what you're good at, what you're comfortable at, and then go from there. Somebody's purpose may be making documentaries. You like to do film. That's, that may be your direction that you go into. But please find it and don't let the time pass you by. Again, and when it does, and you'll feel like, man, I've lost so much time. It's going by so fast. No, it's just when you're not doing, I'll even say what you're supposed to be doing. Not that you shouldn't be trying to pay your bills, but there's a lot of people working in positions right now, and that's not where they're supposed to end up. And so the time still feels like it's moving slowly in that sense. And then in other sense, where people are actually doing what they want to do, the time is like, man, I don't have enough time to get what I want done. Can't wait till tomorrow to continue it. Not start all over again like you do with a job, but to continue. Feelings different. So if you feel like your time is speeding up, like you're running out of it, then you gotta repurpose yourself and look at actually what you like to do, see if you can monetize that, and then go from there where now you feel like your time is speeding up, but not in a bad way where you're losing time. Because this whole time is speeding up, is getting away from us. That's coming normally from a position of, not necessarily negativity, but just like, man, I just still not able to accomplish what I want to accomplish. But when you're doing what you want to do, you like, man, you're still getting so much done, and then can't wait till the next day to do more because your time does feel like it's running out, but you having a great time, for lack of a better word, doing it because you're doing what you want to do versus just doing something to pay a bill. So I know we can't get that time back that has gone, but time is still going at the same speed it's always going by. Whether it may feel fast to you or slow to you, that's all everybody's perception. but it's doing what it's supposed to do. And let me know in the comments how you feel about time. Do you feel you got more of it, less of it? Is it going fast to you? Where do you stand on time? If you parents out there listening to this, do you feel like time went so by and you got adult children now and you remember when they were that height, that small? Do you feel like that's gone by so quick? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to Facts or Feelings. That's the name of the channel. All one word, no spaces. Facts or Feelings. You type that in the YouTube search engine, my channel will come right up. All one word, Facts or Feelings. All right. Until next time, I'm out.